a special guest speaker, Alfonso Garza. He's the CEO of Dream House Lending. Company started in what, bro?
7 months ago.
7 months ago, man. Already booming. I believe this is just upgraded to another location, a little bit bigger. But introduce yourself, man. I think you can do it a lot better than I can. So what's up, man?
Yeah, nice to meet you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me. So my name's Alfonso Garza. 30 years old. I just started my company about 6 months ago. I've been doing lending for like the past four years, licensed, and then before that, I had some sort of experience, I guess, from assisting in the mortgage industry. But 2 kids, married, rental properties, wife. Yeah, man, it's been very crazy.
For sure.
Journey, huh? Yeah, no, it's been I'm very, very blessed.
So obviously, bro, today's podcast is more than anything about, entrepreneurship. Obviously, guys, he is a mortgage broker, right?
Yeah.
Basically, a mortgage broker. He does have his own company, and that's actually the purpose of why we decided to, talk to Alfonso today. One of the things that I just got done telling him right now prior to, the camera starting on is that I was inspired because he basically started at a very similar time that I did, right? We started at the same time, 2 different industries, same industry, but different sides, I guess you can say, right? Real estate and lending. And I've been seeing this guy. We haven't done a lot of business together, but I've been seeing this guy grow, and it's amazing to see that because, I love to see my people win, bro, and I know that there's struggles. I'm telling you, because, obviously, I've been through struggles, we've been through struggles. So, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, right? Just share a little bit about, why is it that you even decided to, I guess, open your own company in the first place?
I think it was very weird because I never aspired to, I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to take over the world. Mm-hmm. I think everything just happened, naturally for me. It was always just whatever. I knew whatever I was going to do, I was going to be really good at it because I had to decide if I was going to be a pro soccer player or literally pivot my whole life and choose to see, I literally had to just focus on school and graduating. Yeah. So it came to a point in time in my life where I had to choose, do I give it 100 and forget school and do soccer, or do I just pivot and I'm already kind of too old to then do that. So whatever I knew what I was going to do, I just knew I was going to be really good at it and I'm going to give it all.
I got you.
And things just naturally, obviously lending, I didn't have any experience, so I got good at lending. And then from there, I met people that taught me how to do structured loans, right? And then from there, I'm all right, what's next? What's next?
And that was actually my next question for you. So who or what brought you into this business? Because you could have done a lot of different things. Right. So why lending?
I think I landed in it. So I guess after college, me and my wife, we both walked the States together. We both graduated. And then from there, she was already planning on going to San Diego. And I was like, well, I can't just go to LA, but that's where I'm originally from San Pedro. Yeah. And I ended up going with her to San Diego, and I was just applying to different positions. Some other jobs didn't always work out. I landed on Craigslist a job on loan processing. So I was really just resume. And
when was this? What year?
This was in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, 15, 16, right around that end of that year. And yeah, dude, they hit me up for an interview. I was literally at an interview for selling Kirby fucking vacuums.
Oh, yeah, no way.
I was
salesman. Hey, let me tell you something. Those salesmen, bro, they're probably one of the best trained salesmen. I almost bought a vacuum when I already had one.
Oh, he did?
Nah, for real, bro. They're really well trained, man. I like the way those people work, but
yeah. I was literally in an interview. I got a call. I'm like, hey, I gotta take this call real quick. I was a group of people that were presenting the vacuum, and I was like, all right. So I took the phone call. I was like, hey, can you come for an interview? I was like, I'm there. Yeah. I just didn't say nothing next to that.
Damn, that's crazy.
And got the job and to assist loan processing. So that was a loan processing assistant. So that was the start of everything.
Nice. Okay. So that was a foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of want to backtrack it a little bit. And again, you can get as personal as you want, bro. You don't have to share too much, but just because I think a lot of who we are today reflects on who we were as kids or how we came up as kids. So, I just kind of want to ask, bro, how did you grow up? Were you, I wouldn't say poor, but did you guys struggle when you were a kid? Did you have both mom and dad? What was that like? Your childhood?
I was very fortunate. I still have my parents, they're still married. And so living in San Pedro, living there, we lived in an apartment, the same apartment, basically my whole 17 years that I was with them. And my dad wasn't around as much because he was obviously working. He had two jobs. We were paying rent. So literally my mom's job was just to take care of us. So I was always just around my mom, learning from my mom. My dad, he was always there for us on the weekends, taking us to soccer games. He was always around. He just couldn't be there because he was supporting his family. So that's kind of why I feel like he wasn't there as much, because he was providing for us.
Right.
So I did grow up that kind of way in San Pedro, and games, tagging, violence, going to school, walking to school every single day. So I was around it a lot.
Yeah.
But luckily, I think soccer saved my life, because if it wasn't for soccer and learning something that I was super passionate about, just even in high school and wanting to be a pro soccer player and hanging out. Literally, I had no time after school. I would go from high school practice to then club soccer practice.
Oh, nice.
So it was just my day was so filled, and I gotta go home, and it was just there's no time to hang out with bad people.
That's what keeps people onto the streets for sure.
It really does.
For sure, man.
And then as soon as I graduated, it just got to the point of I just want to leave. And then I ended up hitting up my boy Chris Whitting. He's actually one of my loan officers now.
Oh, nice.
And
nice. Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris. That's the reason I kind of pivoted to Bakersfield. And I hit him up. He was playing soccer up here, so I literally walked on to the soccer team, a Division I soccer team, to try out. Yeah, I just didn't get recruited anywhere, and I was just kind of like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how everything just pivoted from there. Was I just moved away.
Sure.
2 hours away.
To Bakersfield. Someone brought you to Bakersfield.
Bakersfield had a Division I soccer team.
Okay.
So I wanted to hang out and be with the best. So I don't want to go to Dominguez Hills. Those are all Division II schools. And I was like, I got to go somewhere kind of local, still around my family, where it's not too far away, but I still wanted to get out the hood. I wanted to get out. I wouldn't even call it the hood. I mean, I would just, around that environment I was at.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play soccer. That's literally why I went to college. I wanted to be a pro soccer player.
I got you. Sweet.
So that's how everything, it didn't always work out, but I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, sure. So one of the questions that I did want to ask you, obviously you built what you have now, fast tracking to where you're at currently. But what did you build your business off of? Your model, or how did you develop what you currently have in terms of the way that your people work? Is it based off of your experience? Did you have a bad experience in the beginning of your business? Or, what's your model for your office and what you build it off of?
So I really just built it off of realtor partners, referrals. I got into lending, and I was like, I'm handling people's loans. I'm handling people's emotions on buying a house. And I was like, I got to take this seriously, because if my pre-approvals aren't the best and people are doubting me, I didn't want people saying oh no, don't take his pre-approvals.
Yeah.
You don't want that kind of name in town. So I found Eileen in Francisco, so shout out to them, that they brought me on fairly new, not knowing anybody in town.
Yeah.
And they invested time, and I basically came to them. I was like, I need the blueprint. I need to know loans. And that's what Eileen taught me the most, was structure. So I learned structure, and I wanted to learn it as fast as I could. So even after hours, I was learning it because I needed to know every guideline to take care of people. Right. So that's kind of like the back end support that I wanted to master. So that way, as I got good at them, now I'm like, okay, how can I get them better? How can I do them faster? Yeah. And then I focused on getting faster. So then I started finding CRM systems, communication systems, to the point of all right, it seems like people I'm starting to get some traction. I'm starting to close. I have my follow-ups on point. Now I'm like, how do I and that's kind of how I took it. Every year was just over 100 loans, over 100 loans, over 100 loans, that I'm like, now what's next? So that's kind of why the whole broker thing came about. Yeah. And people, I didn't want to recruit, and I haven't even tried to recruit. Yeah. Everything just naturally just gravitated towards me. And I'm like, it's hard for me to say no to people that I'm fun. I can hang out with, I can say yes to. And I'm like, all right, come on.
I like that you said that you mentioned the fact that you don't recruit is everything, because that's actually that's the biggest things that we're proud of. We never focus on recruitment. I mean, we put out hey, get your license here, whatever. But as far as recruitment, everyone in this office, and I'm proud to say that, bro, everyone in our office has came because they heard about us or word of mouth, whatever. I mean, they heard about the company, right? So it's never been a recruitment tactic where we go out and try to get people to come to the office. So I like that, bro. And it's funny that going back to what you were saying. So first you mastered the craft, and then you mastered the, I guess, efficiency, right? On how, because a lot of people try to skip the part of mastering the craft. Right. They just want to do shit fast. Excuse my language. They want to do it fast, and then they end up screwing up, and then they do get that bad reputation and all that stuff. So I like that you mentioned that. And Eileen and Francisco, bro, definitely. And that's the reason why I mentioned in the first place.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So I mean, they're good people, bro. I know that Francisco in general, bro, that guy, he's a smart guy.
He really is.
A really good mentor, man. And I think, so what is it that made you make that decision? Like, okay, you know what? I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get out of, because,
give them a scenario as to what you build your business off of due to the experience that you went through, so that way he kind of
I think my experience was a little different. You're talking about
like what you build.
So when I talk to agents, bro, I basically tell them, look, this company was built off of, it sounds kind of shitty to say, but off of the bad things that I went through, right? I'm pretty sure you heard a little bit about the story. Like when I first got to my first office, it was like, here's your keys, here's your desk, figure it out, do what you got to do. Very old fashioned. Files were still in cabinets. I mean, it was super old school. So everything that I picked up off of those offices that I went to, which was only 2, I took all the bad things on what I didn't like, and I turned it into something that I can use for, the agents that are coming in to not experience what I went through. Right. Does that make sense?
100%.
Is that so? What is it that I guess you go based off of it? Is it something similar to that, or is it a little different?
No, I mean, luckily I was fortunate. So when I got that job in San Diego, ton of support. Like it was a small branch. So it was just literally a branch producing loan officer and a loan processor.
Right.
And they had other 2 loan officers. So it wasn't a big branch, but I was so fortunate to work under him because he was so systematic. The way he talked, he believed in his systems, and you can hear how excited he was. His hands were just moving so fast that I'm like, why is he like this? I just came from working at Sam's Club, and I'm now working for this guy, and just hearing how passionate he was and how he did this type of loan, it just I was around that. So I think now that I'm where I'm at now, I always remember Scott. Yeah. And I'm I'd love to at some point work alongside of him, just because he's so energetic. He's built his own CRM system. He's coded his own CRM system. Yeah. Because that's kind of what he did, because now he has a coded system for the mortgage business. So I think I came up knowing the tools on systems and putting things in place. So when I left him, because we got pregnant with Enzo, and we ended up coming back to Bakersfield. Luckily, we just made a company transition, and that's how I landed from Eagle Home Mortgage to the builder side of Eagle Home Mortgage with Bernard. So luckily, it was just everything just worked out. And I was just then around just loan officers that I was assisting loan officers in processing now. So it just got to that point where now I was around negativity.
Okay.
And I was just man,
what do you mean?
Just negative. They're complaining all the time. I was there at 7:30 in the morning because I got in at 8, and it's coming in at 11, and they're basically saying I'm so busy. Underwriting is saying this, and I'm just well, why don't you show up earlier and just get to work? We're just around every day. Yeah. And it got to the point where I started getting good at the ordering stuff and the back end, that they were asking me questions all the time, hey, how do you do this? And I'm I should be learning from you. Yeah. Why am I having to tell you this again? Yeah. Right. I already gave you the step by step on how to do it. So it just got to the point of I need to leave.
Yeah. And man, that's actually very similar to what I'm talking about too. So environment is everything, bro. It's huge. Yeah. And that's what I teach these guys too, man. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of veterans in any industry, bro, real estate or lending, whatever. There's veterans that come in and they already have bad habits, bro. They already have negative ones, for that matter, to where they're not really open to learning or working harder. And then the new people come in like you and I, and we're ready to kill some shit. We're ready to learn. We're open-minded. Yeah, dominate, bro. You know what I mean? So yeah, and that's very, very similar to what happened with me, bro. I had to grow out of that environment where it's okay, I got to be with people on my category, producers, right?
Right.
So that's I'm glad that you mentioned that. One question that I did have, I noticed your company is more, you recruit, again, you don't recruit, but more of your lenders are brokers, right? Mm-hmm. What's the model behind that? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, no, so brokers is, I guess it comes down to really licensing. So there's different ways that you have the bigger banks, right? Like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. Then you have retail lenders like the local ones here in town where they use a warehouse line of credit. They have their own underwriters. They have their own processors. They have their own staff. They have a lot more admin support. They tend to be a little bit more expensive, right?
Gotcha.
The rates are more. They maybe charge a little bit more fees to then cover all the support, right?
Yeah.
So in hopes that their systems, everything's in-house. And then you have brokers where we don't really work for one company. So when you don't work for one company, now you have the options to like, I have all these wholesale lenders that I can get choose from, like master them. Like, I'm just not like, I can do that loan. I'm going to trust I'm going to get it down over here. No, like I need to know your AE. I need to like believe that you guys can actually get these deals done. So I've already weeded through the bad lenders and I have my good circle already where when you're a broker, you have that option to like, oh, we can only do loans at 620 or 640, right? When things get bad, they cut back because they can't sell these loans to wherever, because they make money selling them, you know, on the upfront, on the back end. So when they can't sell them to like the secondary market, they have to hold them. So when things get bad, like when COVID happened, they had to increase their FICO scores because they're like, they may lose out on their homes. Now I can't sell it. But we're brokers, well, we never changed.
Yeah.
No, they're the ones that kept everything the same.
I remember everybody was getting really strict at the time.
Tight, really, really tight. Yeah.
And then you hear, and then you have agents too, like believing that too. And you're like, oh, and then obviously with brokers, that's the thing with us. It's like nothing changes sometimes. You know, we have lenders that we work with. They're always helping out the broker channel. So when you work for a broker, you're kind of endless, man. You can do 550 FICO scores, 10% down.
Yeah, you got basically more options,
You
right?
do.
So it's a little bit more of a flexibility for the clients, which makes it a little bit better. So I like that, man. And that's something that attracted my attention.
Yeah.
Because I saw that you got mainly brokers. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, because all you I guess when you're on the broker side of it, you can only or under a company license. So with Dreamhouse, we're mortgage brokers because we're a broker channel. We're not really approved to do retail lending because now when you have a retail lending license, you have to have a line of credit, a certain amount of net worth to then. Now you need to find an underwriter. Then you need to find a processor. Now you need to find staff. So it could be a lot harder to then do that. More risk. You know, there's more compliance. You're selling loans now. Like I just didn't want to tap into that yet. I wanted to make sure like I came from broker. I've known broker for the last 4 or 5 years. That's kind of what I know. You know, so I didn't want to get too greedy with it. Let me try retail now. I'm happy with what I do. I'm good at what I do. And I just been attracting people. That's how it happened.
And let me ask you, how many transactions did you close last year? If you don't mind me asking, as a company.
Last year, I don't know yet. So last year was very tough for us because it was more. I'm a producing like loan officer, right? So I then at some point my vision was to get my broker's license, be myself as a producing loan officer, and then have like 2 support staff just for me. But as things started happening, now we're just like, hey, you have your own company. I'm like, all right. So, and then other loan officers started coming and I'm just like, damn, who's going to process our loans? So then I had to focus and pivot like my business, like who's going to catch all these loans? So it was very tough. But like the whole last year, I think we still closed like 100 plus loans.
Nice.
But maybe 60, 70 were for me. And then some were for Damaris, some were for my brother-in-law, Will, some were from Chris. So they all added up to be like where I still kind of made the same amount of money, but now it's just like, I put in a different amount of work somewhere else to then
attention in a different area.
So that's kind of what happened last year. But I mean, even if because now as a business owner, you have a lot more responsibility. Now you have, we gotta have a printer. Like I gotta go buy a printer.
It's crazy, man.
I got guests. Like you're telling me you need a shredding bin now, like for all these documents. So it's a lot of like, damn, when am I gonna do this? And on top of it, get back to my agents, get back to my borrowers, or rotating files. Now I gotta manage my loan off, so it's just very tough. So it was just more of like a growing pain all last year, but we came up on top still.
That's right.
It's very humbling and very blessed, man.
That's right. Well, honestly, man, I mean, we had very similar challenges. I know you went to the Christmas party that we were talking about, bro. And when we first started the office, I thought it was going to be something as simple as like, okay, we're going to open it up and it's just literally all we need is location and just need a badass logo and some people. And bro, we needed insurances for all kinds of crap, bro. It's crazy.
He said insurances on top.
I need insurances, my insurances. You know? It's crazy, you know, office furniture, like, damn, bro, how much for that coffee table? It's expensive.
That's about the receptionist desk.
Receptionist desk, how much is a receptionist called back? Bro, I mean, they're expensive, you know? So, I mean, it's definitely a struggle. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into, bro. So this is where it started getting a little bit more personal for me. So when you first started out your business, did you have support from your family members, from your wife, friends, or did you have to cut certain people off in your life so that you can get to where you're at right now?
Not really. I mean, the main objective, I guess, to opening the business was, it was just a conversation between me and my wife. So it got to the point where it's only just me, 2 loan officers. We have a higher comp plan now where we're going to be, I can do less work and make the same amount of money. That was the goal, right? Because now I have to invest time in my kids. So that's kind of how everything originally started. But as it started happening, I'm like, damn, I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. So at home, it was just more of like me and my wife talking about what we need to do something with. Like it's either I work from 8 to 5 and then I hang out like a certain schedule. I help her at home. And then from 7 to like 1 in the morning, I'm gonna grind it out at home.
I gotcha.
So it was always just for me of like figuring out when I'm gonna work. Because it's like, I understand that she needs me. Like I didn't have my dad growing up, right? So I didn't want to feel like that towards my kids either.
For sure.
So it was very tough because originally I had pictured it differently. And as things actually started happening, it was very, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, right.
Things are happening right now. I need a desk. Now I need to invest time to go and like find the desk and who's going to assemble it.
Yeah, right.
So it was very tough. And that's why I say it was a very tough year, because even just at home was, what are we going to do? Now we have 2 kids. Now it was, what are we going to do with time, right? You did this because you wanted to have more time for us.
Yeah, right.
And it hurt a little bit, but now it's just like, now we're on the same page on like, and now she actually comes in Tuesdays and Thursdays, my wife, to then help me with the payroll stuff, right? So now I got her invested Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's just because, I mean, she wants to be home and enjoy the kids too.
For sure.
It got to the point where now she's here Tuesdays and Thursdays, like being here kind of more part-time, as Gianni tends to grow up a little bit, put him in daycare. So now she can actually, then she wants to do her own notary business. So I kind of got her involved, right? In a sense,
And that was my next question. I know Rigo has one right now. But my question, and it's funny because I had actually written that down. So how did this affect your relationship with your wife? And you know, so basically how you've explained how you overcame that. But how did it affect your relationship though, in terms of like, or if it affected your relationship at all? You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it got to the point where the good thing about my wife, well, she's amazing. She communicates to me a lot.
Yeah.
She just says, hey, I'm not feeling like we have you here all the time.
For sure.
So that's what she's really great at communicating. So with me, I'm always like, if you need me here, okay, what are we going to do? Right. Yeah. So we tend to communicate in that aspect of like, okay, we have a schedule. You want to work out in the mornings? Do you go in the nights?
Yeah.
Like what time? Like, so I want to make sure you're happy. You know, it doesn't make sense for
you got to take them into consideration.
Yeah, 100%. Because the only reason I'm doing this full time is because she's handling it at home. So I'm very grateful for that. And she's great at communication. So she kind of brings me back down like, hey, just be more realistic. I'm like, what can we do?
Yeah.
So I think we found like through trial and error, just, all right, I think this has been working. I've been setting alarms to like, hey, you got to start putting the phone down by like 5 and then straight home. Right.
Okay.
So we just found a routine that kind of worked. And if we would try that out for a couple weeks, a month or 2, and then anything that she was noticing I wasn't, she'll come and bring me back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, let me try to recoup and let me try to fix that. So that's what's really been awesome.
Dude, honestly, and that's everything. Just the fact that you're able to be on the same page with your significant other is everything. If you're going to the gym and you're getting at it and you're eating healthy, but your significant other's like, you know what? I don't want to go to the gym. I think I want to eat a cheeseburger today. You know, it kind of makes it a little bit hard. You know, it's kind of creates a fine line in between. And it's a game changer when you got that other person that's willing to step up to your level, and they see you grow, they want to grow. They want to go to the gym, or they see you doing something good for yourself, and they're like, what can I do to help you out? Type thing. You know, obviously there's things that they want as well, but more than anything, the fact that they're willing to support whatever it is that you know you're doing.
Yeah. And I met your wife, bro. She you know, that day of the party, and she seems like a very supportive person. You know, right away she started talking about your company. You know, so I can tell the type of person that she was, because like Rigo mentioned, bro, not a lot of women are very supportive, or I mean, vice versa. It could be either way, bro. You know, women starting business and men are not supportive, you know, so it really does come down to that. And that's the reason why I asked that question, because, you know, I was affected by this, you know, when I first started my business too, obviously. And, you know, bro, it's not like one of those 9-to-5 jobs. You know, sometimes we just can't balance it out. It just it doesn't work that way. Right. You know, sometimes you got to grind it out till 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes, you know, your wife does have to understand. But it's one of those things where, again, she does have to be on board. And like Rigo says, you know, she kind of has to be where, you know, I mean, I guess you can say supportive in a sense where, you know, hey, man, if you're working out, I want to try to do something, you know, I guess kind of be on the same level, bro.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and then that's where a lot of relationships, either they grow together or I guess they kind of drift apart.
Right.
So I'm happy that, you know, you guys are going strong, bro. Like I said, I mean, when I met her, she seemed super supportive and very like invested in your business. So I can tell. That's why I had to ask that question, bro. Because again, you know, it's happened to me, bro. It's happened to my brother. It's very common. I mean, that shit's everywhere, you know, for a lot of people. And that's why I want to talk about it, because a lot of relationships do get affected by it, to where it's like, damn, you know, like I'm just trying to work and my relationship, like my business is going great, but my relationship is going to crap. And you know that if your relationship isn't good, then sometimes your business can get affected by it. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I asked that question. But
and then just to kind of talk about a little bit of the willpower, because I know you mentioned right now that you go and you put alarms on to tell you when to get off your phone, but I'm assuming that you have the schedule when you're on go time. You know what I mean? And then you go, you have a little off time, you're with your family, with your kids, and then you mentioned you're on from 7 to like 1 in the morning. It's a go time again. Right. So, I mean, what developed that willpower to go and say, hey, I want to go and get this shit right now, and then I'm gonna have my off time, and then I want to go at it again as long as I can go until I fall asleep on my computer. Like, what has that willpower? What's the drive?
I mean, I think I just naturally grew it from like just watching my dad do it.
Right.
My dad, I think I got that gene from my dad, because at some point
it's a Mexican gene, right?
It has to be some sort of like I never heard him complain how he was tired. I had to go to work.
Las 4 de la mañana.
And that guy worked 2 jobs. He would be out by 6, go to come home, shower, take off to the school district, be off by 10.
Nice.
And then by the time he got home, we were asleep. So that happened with my dad, right? So I think I got that sort of gene from him.
Yeah.
And then being in San Diego, finding out that I'm gonna have a kid, now it was just like, oh man, like obviously San Diego's expensive, so it was just me and my now wife that I was like, now I'm gonna go get a second job while we save up. I gotta save up money now to move. We're gonna move back in with my parents. So as I was working in that other mortgage assisting position, be off by 4, I got a second job at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
From 6 to 10. So it was literally, I was at the gym at 4.
Yeah.
Shower, get ready, be at work by 8 to 4. And then from there, it was an hour drive to then Sam's Club. So I did that for literally 2 months. By the time we were planning on leaving back to Bakersfield, that it was very difficult to up and down, like to still consistently be up at 4 in the morning, go to the gym, and then get off by 10, come home, sleep, and then wake up at 4 again to go to the gym. I think that then it just developed such of like let's go. Like it just sparks maybe like that work ethic during that time just kind of drove me. But I don't know, bro. I played soccer my whole life. I felt like that was hard. Early in the mornings, 4 a.m., running 2 miles.
Yeah, bro. It's
playing soccer at San Pedro High, and then having to go to club soccer. So I felt like all that was hard. I felt like going to school was hard.
So you already
studying was hard.
Work, basically.
Yeah. So when people tell me like, you got to do lending, you got to learn how to do income, I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm like, all right, I just got to be on the computer, know how to calculate income, credit, like assets, like that's all I got to do. And I'm like, this is easy. So when I hear people complaining all the time, I'm like, I've been through it.
Learning fields, bro. We worked in the fields, bro. You know, so it was one of those things where, again, in the field. So we worked in the fields, bro, and it was one of those things where, you know, obviously you got to wake up at 4 in the morning. You got to be there, and it's hot as hell, bro. You know, so it's like one of those environments, and I talk about it all the time, bro, because I'm proud of it now. You know, I was a little embarrassed by it. I'm going to be honest in the beginning, you know, because it's like, that's all we knew for a long time, bro. Me and this guy did like so many seasons in the fields. But now I'm proud to say that, you know, that's what built us up to what we are today, because it's exactly what you're saying, bro. Like, to other people, this is hard work, but for us, that builds our character. So for us, this shit's easy, bro. You know what I mean? Because it's like physically and mentally, you know, there's two different things, right? You can get mentally exhausted just like physically, but honestly, it does build that character, bro. It really, really does. And it does have a lot to do with, you know, who we are today, because I feel like if I didn't get to experience that in my life, I would have been a lot lazier than what I was right now.
Yeah.
You know, now we wake up early as hell to go to the gym. We work out. We try to keep ourselves accountable. We try to keep ourselves active. And, you know, do what we got to do here. But I feel like it has a lot to do with that, you know. So soccer, bro, I know it's not an easy task.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's one of those things where you got to fucking run like a lot, you know.
Running a lot, you're training a lot, you got to eat. On top of it, even at school, you're in college, you're there to play soccer. So soccer in the mornings. Then you got to get ready for class. And then you got to focus on eating. And then for me, I had no money. My parents didn't support me during, so I had to get a job. So I was working. And then from there, I have all my soccer buddies that didn't have jobs. They got scholarships. So I had to go grind. Yeah. And then on top of it, I still had to go study. And then so it just, I think college was very difficult.
Yeah. Right.
Especially when you're an athlete and you're having to manage everything else with life and staying sane and passing and keeping your grades up to then play. So I come from hard, and now that it's now I'm on my way down, but now it's just like, now I can work hard toward this.
For sure. Right.
And I think that's where how do I get good at this? You know, I got really good at soccer. How do I get good at this?
For sure.
And then I wanted to get there as fast as I could.
Okay.
YouTube videos, learning from that person, making it my own. And then from there, once I got good at that, all right, how else can I have these communicate? And that's how I think I learned that from Scott. So the people that I've met from where I'm at now, everything has it made me to who I am today.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's been very crazy.
Cool. One, I guess, piece of advice that you would give yourself, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give the Alfonso 4 years ago?
4 years ago would be, let's do 2018. I don't think I would change anything. I think I would keep everything the same. I would probably research more on like what brokers are, and it's just, I think things happen how they're supposed to.
Absolutely,
I surrounded myself around people that made me better and taught me things and that had been there before. So I learned from their mentorship, and I was just very grateful to learn all this stuff. And now now it's time to keep growing. So I don't know what I would change. I think I wouldn't. I think I would keep everything the same. Cool, I was the same work ethic.
You got to be coachable. That's all it really comes down to. It's because at the end of the day, you know, one of the biggest things that we say is you can have all the tools, you know, you need to succeed, but everything is behind action and actually knowing how to utilize that, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely agree, dude. You got to be coachable exactly with everything, and so that way you can grow.
100%.
So
I think the only thing maybe I regret is just not finding Andrew Tate sooner.
Yeah, bro. Shout out to Andrew Tate, bro.
Not from
the Tate fans over here, I know.
Oh, for sure.
He's still in prison right now, huh?
I'm about to go to Romania tomorrow, bro.
I know, man. I'm flying up there. I got you, bro. Good. First class over there. Now, honestly, man, I mean, speaking about Andrew Tate, that guy really has. He didn't necessarily open my eyes as a man, you know. He kind of just reassured me of what I already knew, because again, bro, you're in a Mexican household and you got a very, very strict Mexican dad. Yeah. Those principles are already kind of natural to you, you know what I mean? So when I saw this guy's videos, bro, I was like just in shock. I'm like, shit, that's what I've. Obviously, I don't agree with 100% of the things, but about 90-95%, yes, I do, you know, because he's a very smart guy.
Yeah, and I don't think you should agree with everybody's like views.
Absolutely, man.
You know, because they're just like at some point, so you're kind of picking and choosing where you pick up from people, but I think when people say, oh, I don't like Tate, now when I think about Tate, I'm like, oh, he taught me things that my dad never taught me, and now everything's hitting home, and I'm like, that's kind of why I do need that father, older brother figure. And sometimes I'm the oldest, so I didn't have someone teaching me how to be a man, and I didn't have someone teaching me like this is your job, like you have to. And I'm already doing it, right? So I was already entrepreneurial, for sure. You know, develop, and then I met Tate. All right, you know, ran into Tate, and then it came to the point of like, well, I'm already here, so how can I then have a better mindset now?
For sure, right?
That's all it was. I just didn't have
the media.
No, bro, absolutely. And that was actually another question that I had for you. Yeah. So obviously, and I like that you mentioned that, because I'm the oldest brother from all of us. A lot of the things that my brother knows, he's got to see me experience, and whether they're fortunate things or unfortunate things, you know, he's got to see me go through a lot of things first. So a lot of my mentorship came from YouTube. A lot of my mentorship came from like people like Andrew Tate, you know, and just to name drop a few, Patrick Bet David, you know, like a lot of people that are influential in that way. What was your form of mentorship when you feel like you didn't have answers, bro? Because honestly, when I was starting my business, sometimes I was stuck, bro. I was like, fuck, what do I do?
Right.
What am I supposed to do? Exactly the scenario you gave me. I'm like, okay, I'm a top producing realtor. I can't focus 100% of my time on this anymore because now I got a business.
Right.
Now I have to juggle between both. So it affected our sales a lot, bro, when I first started the company. Right. So again, I guess I went back and reverted to YouTube, to books, and I started getting into books and all that stuff. What was your form of mentorship? How did you look for answers when you couldn't find anything? You know, because there's not a lot of information when it comes to, you know, having a business, I guess you can say. I mean, there is, but very limited, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess I owe a lot of the entrepreneurial to like Francisco and Eileen. So after leaving the old company I was at, they already had rental properties. They already like have been a top producer, right? They already knew how to structure loans. So I think just surrounding myself around them, that it got to the point of like, I kind of looked at her as more of like older sister, and Francisco of like that uncle, where it was just more of like, this is how the market is, right? Yeah. So they taught me a financial aspect of the business of where the same thing, right? They could only teach me so much, right? Yeah. But I guess when my hunger came in, there's not a lot of people here in town, I felt, that can then teach me, like, this is how you're supposed to do loans. This is how you should have a system. This is how you should have X, Y, and Z laid out. So I was just on YouTube as well, right? So then I signed up for like a sales training through some guy. His name is Daniel Niekart with Sales Remastered. So I invested in his course. And then it was dope, man, because he's an actual originator, top producing originator, that he mastered the sales part of it, the emotional side, the fear side. Like, he taught me a lot on like thinking like outside of the box, where then I can, like, I didn't even think of that, right? Yeah. So I like Daniel because, bro, like, anything mortgage, you can't really find a really good sales mortgage person. So I had to go outside look on. He focused his business on cold calls. So I get more referrals. So mine weren't as hard as his was. Yeah. So I had to learn through, he had scripts, right? So then I started like understanding a little bit better of scripts, how to read like the tonality, how to match it, you know? So it just taught me more things that I brought here in Bakersfield that I think it just made me a better loan officer in general. And that's kind of how I've taken things in life. So I guess the only mentorship was really just Daniel. I would have like Zoom calls with him like every so often. So a coach basically, right? Here and there. Yeah. Paid for his course, did really well in his course. And he invited me on the podcast too, to do, on his YouTube channel that he posted. And then from there, I think I just did really good. And he just kind of invited me. And then from there, it was just really Francisco, Daniel Niekart. And I think that's all I can really say of like people. Like, I don't go to these seminars. Yeah. I don't feel like I need that to get motivated, right? And that's typically what they're for, man. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've always wanted to go to one, and I've never gone to one, bro. Ever in my life. I have never been to a convention. I've never been to a seminar. I've never been to, and I can say that, at the end of the day, it all really comes down to action. Right. You can be as motivated as you can, bro. You can be ready to conquer the world, and the next day you feel like shit. You don't feel like doing anything, and that's kind of where. Sometimes the best of you. It gets the best of you, yeah. So discipline does take over, man. And action is going to be a lot better than the person that's just motivated that ain't 100%. Doing crap. So, do you have another question, Rigo?
Yeah, actually. So, kind of going back to everything. What's your vision for your company? I mean, like, what overall? What's your plan? What's your goal? And when would you say, okay, look, I did what I had to do, and I'm happy I built what I built.
I think I see my next vision is being like. Now I'm focusing on more of like a strong back-end support in a sense of like processing. So that's where I think my focus is going to be on this year. I don't think you can have a good team of loan officers without a good back-end support. So instead of me saying, I need to go get more leads, I need to go get more referrals. No, like, I need to focus on my operations. I need to make sure they're okay. I need to make sure they're happy, that I'm providing them like how can we get you to be a better processor, right? Because now I can actually mold them to be great people, happy people. And then now we can actually help out more loan officers that could be struggling, right? They need that good back-end support, that if a file submitted for underwriting, knowing that it's going to get approved, and they can then get more business, right? So instead of me focusing on recruiting, that's why I didn't want to recruit. So I wanted to hold off to then be proud of what I have already to then feel comfortable then to recruit.
Oh, no doubt, bro.
So I think that's where I'm going to focus more on processing in the next maybe year, this whole year, taking processing, and try to build up the office, get it to be nice and get it to be
for sure
to the point of, operating.
To where you're fully operational. Right. Mm-hmm. I got you. And another thing, I like that you mentioned we don't focus on recruitment. One of the reasons why I don't focus on recruitment is very similar to what you said too. Sometimes when people come in as veterans and you recruit a veteran, sometimes they come in with like really bad habits, bro.
That too.
Remember, the experiences that we talked about of like people that are already experienced, people that already come in with a mindset, bad habits, they're negative. So I feel like when you recruit that, sometimes it can be a hit or miss. I love working with brand new agents, bro. I think like 60% of my office, they're brand new agents. And I love brand new agents for the most part because you can mold them into something like you said, you can train them. They're open-minded for typically, right? So that's what I focus on. So you as a mortgage broker, do you focus more on I guess people that are already experienced, or are you open to molding new people into the business, like a brand new fresh lender?
So I guess I picked and choose who I could, and like I can feel like I can hang out with and have a good relationship with. Like we brought on Damaris, and Damaris I can hang out with her, right? So she was a producing loan officer already, and we just brought on Tyler Arias, and I can hang out with them. I went to his birthday party, right? So we can be friends, right? Yeah, so at some point it's kind of like picking and choosing who's joining the team. So we just hired our second, junior processor, where I had ads out where we were recruiting, we were hiring a new position where I was kind of saying, do I bring on a full 10-year processing experience person? Yeah. Or do I bring on someone fresh and just invest time in them heavy, bring them up to the point of changing their life in a sense? Right. And then, or do I bring on someone that they do processing this way? No, I don't like to do statuses. No, the agents, they're not going to get updates from me. Right. Batman. So it's, I
know what their habits.
They do. Like when you meet those veterans, you meet those people. They feel like they're the only ones that are right. So now you're focusing on changing their mindset to be coachable.
That's tough. That's really
use your CRM system. So I think I've been naturally getting newer loan officers back. Like my brother's newly licensed. Yeah. I have Chris that brought me to Bakersfield. He's newly licensed. So I'm investing time to then teach them how to do things.
Absolutely.
How to understand a credit report, but through documentation of myself, I'm still originating loans. So I'm looming my screen and then talking what I'm doing. Yeah. So I have content laid out already without me having to feel like I have to go train them. Yeah. So I send them out the videos, say, hey, here's a video on how to analyze a credit report. Boom, here you go. And it's just me just going through a credit report because I had to, because I'm doing this file. Yeah. So I've been focusing on documenting a lot.
Right. So you're being innovative in a sense where you're multiplying yourself, and now you're able to train them, but you don't got to be there to train them because you've already done the work. Now you'll focus on something else. Yeah. So that's crazy.
I guess focusing now on nurturing them long term. So just because they're so new with me still, so now maybe that's what's going to hurt me later on is you didn't nurture them or you didn't take care of your people, right? So now I need to focus on maybe growing that part of myself.
See, and it's kind of like what a lot of people come to find out when they open their own business too is okay, either I'm going to work in the business or on the business. And I think what you're doing is probably the best thing, because that's something that we had to learn early on. Is okay, I'm going to work in the business, again, doing sales, doing what I got to do, which I'm really, really good at that, bro. I feel like I can kill it, for sure at sales. But I feel like this is where I'm needed the most is working on the business, growing the business, nurturing people. I'm big on trainings. I'm big on education. I'm big on teaching experiences, systems, bro. I'm huge on systems. And that's another reason why, I was attracted to doing this with you, because I know you're a very systematic person. And I like that. I'm very systematic, bro. CRM systems, all that stuff. I have systems for my system. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I like that, that's one of the struggles that a lot of people are going to face. It's either you work in the business or you work on the business, right? Yeah. So obviously, if you want to grow and you plan on getting to a certain level in your life, I think you should focus on the business.
Right, 100%.
And I know we're not talking about real estate here, bro. I know this is more about the entrepreneur side, but I got to ask this question because a lot of people really don't know the answer to this. Can you buy a home with OnlyFans?
You technically can.
Yeah.
Because I think they're considered like contractors. So if you're contracted, to do content. Like if I think people who do YouTube are contractors, right? You get paid a 1099 and a certain amount of ad revenue. Yeah, you could technically buy OnlyFans.
As long as you do your taxes, ladies.
As long as you do your taxes, get with a loan officer that knows how to, calculate Schedule C income.
Yeah. So I'm gonna revert all my OnlyFans clients over to Alfonso.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm just playing. The wife is watching. I'm kidding, bro. So obviously, again, another question I do have for you, real estate related. What is your projection for the real estate market in 2023? More locally, like what do you think is gonna happen locally?
Here in Bakersfield, I think the prices are naturally going to, in a sense, maybe stabilize at some point. I think the rates, they're starting to come down a little bit compared to, I think, the last couple months.
Yeah, I see that.
So it's just, that's kind of what I hate about rates. It's just like, what are the rates today? You don't know. Sometimes you're like, I don't know. So it makes it tough for me too on the lending side is like, do I max out their pre-approval at this rate? What if rates jump up? Now you don't qualify. Yeah. Now you're a bad lender, right? So I think that prices are going to stabilize, so they just shut them too quick. So I think they're going to stabilize. It's going to find a medium, and hopefully we start like maybe trending slowly at some point
upward.
Upward, yeah.
Okay.
Upward, yeah.
All right.
That's kind of like my prediction. I mean, but who can judge, right? Who knows? Who knows exactly what's going to happen? But that's kind of my prediction.
If you're motivated to buy, hit up my boy.
Alfonso Garza with Dream House Lending. One question before we finish it off. I know you got one more. I got one more, and we're about to wrap this thing up right now in about 5 minutes. And I'm very curious to know: have you ever? And I'm pretty sure we all know the answer to this, but have you ever thought about quitting? And if so, how close were you to quitting?
Yeah. So actually, starting up like the company that I have now. So starting Dream House, it started getting to the point of like you need a printer, you need staff, you need people that you need water for your employees, you need to have like all that stuff in place. Where it just started getting to the point of like I have all my business and I have all my referrals, I got to start processing them. Who's gonna process my loan? I don't have a solid team. I think I jumped too quickly.
Yeah.
Versus like I have a set of people. So I think that's what's been haunting me this whole time. Starting like the first 3 or 4 months, and I'm like, damn, like it got to the point of like my files were going straight down. That third-party processing company isn't getting back to me. So it made it very difficult. It got to the point of I was already talking to other broker shops to go join them. And I give a shout out to Damaris because she's the reason I wanted to see how Summit was over there. So she was just like, no, I'm actually getting ready to leave. I should just go join you. We will then find someone to, train and nurture and that's the only reason where I think
so
gave me the motivation to keep going because at some point it just like the same thing, right? At home it started affecting me. I'm working too much and it's just like I'm so over it. I'm tired of hearing it at home. I'm tired of like coming to work and hearing it again from the borrowers and agents. Where are we at with this? And files were on fire
from everywhere, huh?
I was like, I'm out. Like
it's like if you see it on one of those graphs, those entrepreneurial graphs, it's the bar going down, but right after that bar, it's that little spike.
That level up, man. Right. And again, it sounds very similar. Principles are going to be the same no matter what business you're in. You can be selling tamales, you can be selling clothes or whatever. It's the principles are always going to be the same. It sounds like it's either you're working in the business or on the business. And then, and I had that same experience, bro. When I opened, I'm like, shit, I bit off more than I can chew.
Yes.
I was what, 24, 20, I think when we opened up the company, 24. It was in 2020, bro. Mm-hmm. And COVID hits.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, like, what do I do, bro? I'm like shitting it because now I have, again, water's expensive, bro. Coffee, it's expensive to maintain crap. You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't think about all this stuff. So that's why we're doing this podcast, because for anybody looking to open up a business is just have that in mind. It's definitely like something that, and we have reserves, bro. Don't get me wrong, but shit happens, and it affected my relationship. Agents are very emotional sometimes, especially the agents that are under you. I have a lot of issues starting out too with some of my agents, so it was an experience for me, bro, because it's like, okay, I'm not closing shit and I'm not making money on this side. And bro, in the business, you don't typically make money on your business for the first 2 years. That's the way it works. Like if anything, you're probably going to lose money. You're going to be putting money out of pocket. Bro, we were a year in and we didn't make jack shit, to be honest with you.
And this is for the company. I mean, everything that we made on sales
was us. We were producing for the company.
Yes, we would put an hour in. And I think more than anything, that's what makes us want to continue to go and not give up, is the fact that it's like, bro, we're already here.
Right.
Let's fucking get there, you know, that scale it.
So we had a lot of, moments where we're just like, okay, like we feel like we need to throw in the towel, but we don't, because we're like, okay, it's either we're doing this shit 110%. I even told my brother during 2020 when all that happened, I'm like, bro, I'll go bankrupt doing this shit. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go all in. So either I do it or I don't.
Yeah.
There's no in between. You know what I mean? So, it just really comes down to that. Again, principles the same everywhere, though. Everywhere. Just keep that in mind. Save money, have the reserves, just keep those things in mind. And obviously, if you're going to be employing people, you're going to have staff, you're going to have agents or whatever industry you're in. I mean, that takes a lot of your time, and that takes a lot of resources and energy. And it's just one of those things where you got to be prepared. And if you're going to go into something like that, just understand what you're getting yourself into.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So before we end off this podcast, did you have another question?
No, I think that was basically it. I just wanted to kind of
have one last question for you, and this is more for the people that are going to be watching. What advice would you have for the people that are looking into going into business for themselves?
Business for themselves is obviously have a plan. You most definitely need to have a plan on like how you plan on making money, how you plan on getting your customers or your leads.
Yeah.
Learning from someone that actually has been there, maybe. So acquiring that coach or that mentor to give you the blueprint. So then at some point now you have some sort of direction on where to kind of take it there from. And then focus on like the operation side of it. If there is an operation side of, there has to be operations on every type of business, right?
Yeah.
So, just making sure you have a solid foundation on just before starting off.
For sure.
But I mean,
mastering your craft.
But I mean, who's to say like if you don't jump, I mean, you won't be successful.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. I think don't be scared. We're not telling you guys to be scared.
Yeah, the stars never align.
They're never gonna align. There's never gonna be a perfect time. There's never gonna be a again, like Rigo says, where the stars align, you're like, okay, now it's my time. Sometimes you do have to take that risk, and you have to take that initiative.
99% of the time, you have to take the risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what happened with me is I just jumped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, see, I'm falling. I'm like, oh, what about this? And that's kind of where it's like slowly picking everything up.
Right.
And, but who's to say like you can prepare as much as you want, but if you're not going to take action, that's...
Absolutely. It goes back to action, ladies and gentlemen. Preparation is one thing, but action is another thing. So just, again, know what you're getting into, but take action at the end of the day. And just remember, I mean, it's never an easy process. Just if you're going to go in, go all in 110%. That's right. My advice. So
1,000%.
Again, guys, this is Alfonso Garza with Dream House Lending. Do you want to give out your contact information? It's up to you.
100%. Yeah. If you guys want to get a mortgage loan, and we do basically all loans. We do hard money. We do commercial. We do fix and flips. We do FHA, USD, down payment assistance program. So if you guys need to get a hold of me, you guys can text me, call me at 310-415-1359. And we're right here by Mohawk in California at the California Plaza.
Nice. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
For sure.